set? Everyone all set?
He's also giving you the countdown.
There you go, Lola.
That's
Ready?
pro. Look, we have a new student.
Okay.
Action.
Action.
Good evening. I would like to call to order the meeting for this evening, January 27th, 2020. And I just ask that you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So I usually have my spiel that this is being recorded, but I am here to let you know that as a pilot, and if all works well moving forward, we're live streaming right now. So isn't that great? You can actually watch live now with the volume down if you'd like, right on the Dartmouth High School Media YouTube channel. Pretty scary. So with that said, I just also ask if you are watching, or even if you're not, just to turn the volume down on your phones. So to begin, I guess, roll call.
Kathleen Amaral.
Here.
Chris Oliver.
Here.
Shannon Jenkins.
Here.
Carol Karafotis.
Here.
John Nunes.
Yep.
So we have allowed 10 minutes. We're starting a few minutes early. We are allowing 10 minutes for public comment from anyone in the audience. And I ask that if you do come up, you speak on something that is listed on our agenda, and just state your name if you so choose. Please don't be scared. Step on up.
Good evening. Renee Vieira, Dartmouth Educators Association. And on behalf of the DEA, especially members of our bargaining units, we would just like to thank the school committee for your support in recognizing the town costs relative to health care and concerns that employees have, and that we appreciate the dialogue that took place at the joint meeting with the Select Board and the Finance Committee. Special thanks to Dr. Jenkins for your support in trying to get, folks in town to just be aware. And also on behalf of our bargaining team, we'd like to thank Mr. Nunes for attending our last joint bargaining session. It was nice to have a member in attendance, and we thank Dr. Gifford for the dialogue that went on that day, and we're looking forward to continuing bargaining and getting some things settled. So again, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nobody? Okay. I'm keeping an eye on the time because we do have, at 6:45, we will be closing our public meeting to go into like a public hearing for school choice. But right now, I would, I guess, entertain a motion to approve the regular and executive session minutes for January 13th, 2020.
Madam Chair, make a motion we approve the regular session minutes of January 13th, 2020.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain because I was
You
absent.
have one abstention. Jenkins? Okay, and I will entertain a motion to approve the executive session minutes for that same date.
So moved, Madam Chair, with the stipulation that they be held until the matter for which they were intended is completed.
So moved. Second?
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I will abstain again.
One abstention. Okay. What should we
Do student representative report.
we do have a new student representative. If you would be so kind as to introduce yourself and
So
give us
my
know
name
what's
is-
happening.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
My name is Brendan Rigo. I'm a senior at Dartmouth High School. Right now, I am currently towards the end of my winter season of track, and I'll be doing spring. In addition to that, I'm the president of the debate team, and I'm on both National Honor Society and Student Council. So
Great.
Thank you guys for inviting me.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here.
No
Yeah.
problem. All right, so, moving on to what's going on with the students right now. Term 2 concluded on Thursday, and Semester 2, Term 3 is officially starting as of last Friday. So students who are enrolled in half-year electives are now beginning their new coursework. Last Saturday, January 25th, 100 AP English students sat for a mock exam with Mr. Higgins, Ms. Fifield, Ms. Rivard, Ms. Kearney, and Ms. Lassie. Students and teachers will receive the results from Mass Insight, and they'll use these results to target their efforts for the remainder of the school year. Approximately 40 DHS students will be pursuing the seal of biliteracy by sitting for the AAPPL exam in April. This is the first time DHS will be offering this opportunity for our students. The Multicultural Club will be presenting a Chinese New Year celebration after school on Tuesday, January 28th, tomorrow at 8:19. The club will be making traditional Chinese cuisine as part of the celebration, and it will be the Year of the Rat. And finally, next month, students grades 9 through 11 will be participating in the course selection process for the 2021 school year.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Good. You are welcome to stay, but you don't have to stay for
You're also
the...
welcome to leave.
Yeah, you're welcome to leave, but it's a pleasure to have
Thank
you.
you.
And Thank you. Great
welcome.
job.
Brendan.
Welcome aboard.
Great. So 6:36, let's go down to the consent agenda. That's listed as 7:20. There are several, should we do that? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do the
Sorry.
consent agenda.
So we have requests for the Dartmouth High School percussion and dance team to attend the East Power Regionals in New Jersey. We have the varsity color guard request to attend the competition in Pennsylvania in March, and color guard request permission to attend and compete in the indoor color guard World Championships in Dayton, Ohio in April, and the indoor percussion and dance team request permission to attend the World's Finals in Ohio again the end of April. So, should we take them all together?
Do them all
Or
together?
I think that's fine.
anybody have anything? No? Well, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve these consent agendas for the band to go to these different competitions.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I just,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
no, does Dr. Gifford have any reservations on?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Thank you.
So
I would back more trophies.
That's right.
I have no reservations about this, but I'm going to start doing this kind of after I just wrote a big check for DECA. I think this is great. I know the band does a lot of fundraising, but I do want to point out that a lot of the stuff that our band does is paid for, it's supported by the schools, but it's also supported by the hard work of the Music Association, who raises a lot of money, and also the parents and the children who are going to these events, who do have to pay a considerable amount of money to attend these things. And I think it's important for us to continue to highlight these things that might normally come out of taxpayer dollars, but that we are asking volunteers and families to pay for these costs.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Great. Okay, all in agreement, approval, yeah? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. All right, now, so it's 6:39. Boy,
There you
We go fast.
let's see. What can we take? Well, there,
Still got another 5 or 6 minutes.
Madam
Yep.
Chair?
yeah, yes, please.
What time did we, I thought I read in the paper 6:30.
It was advertised as 6:45.
6:4, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I stand corrected.
And yeah, and the standard times on the
Yeah.
17th of
I
January.
I saw it, and I thought it was 6, I apologize, okay, no
Yeah,
problem.
no, it's 6:45.
Yeah.
So,
Going to new business.
yeah,
Collaborative vote.
why don't we,
Collaborative
yeah, that's what I'm looking at too. So you'll see in your packet that the South Coast Educational Collaborative is in need of our vote, or is seeking our vote on a membership request from New Bedford Public School District and Westport School District. So, all the language has been provided in our packet. And so when new districts come on board, they have to
Right.
redo
Right,
the
same process
agreements
we underwent, and
Last-
as you
to the
recall,
last meeting.
yeah, it was about a year that it took us to
Get on.
get on, and I've just started attending meetings, the board meetings, but it goes through each school committee, each of the towns, the membership towns, and then to the commissioner, et cetera, et cetera. So this is one of the steps in the process.
Yeah. So I'll entertain a motion that we edit our, this for the collaborative.
I
wanna
believe we
read
have
the
to,
motion?
we have to read it. So I'll move. I'll move that the New Bedford School District join the South Coast Educational Collaborative as a member with full benefits, privileges, and responsibilities, subject to the terms and conditions of the collaborative agreement, approval by the Department of Education, and subject to applicable Commonwealth rules and regulations. I further move that the chairman of the school committee is authorized on behalf of the committee to execute all appropriate documentation to consummate the committee's decision. I further move that the superintendent of schools is appointed as the district's representative on the collaborative's board.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion?
I don't think so.
No? All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Now we gotta do that for Westport too. You wanna do the
Sure.
honors?
Yeah, please.
I'll do Westport.
You want to do Westport? Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion. I move that the Westport School District join the South Coast Educational Collaborative as a member with full benefits, privileges, and responsibilities, and subject to the terms and conditions of the collaborative agreement. Approval by the Department of Education and subject to applicable Commonwealth rules and regulations. I further move that the chairman of this school committee is authorized on behalf of the committee to execute all appropriate documentation to consummate the committee's decision. I further move that the superintendent of schools is appointed as the district's representative on the collaborative's board.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
I'll just ask Dr. Gifford, as being the, our member, our representative to South Coast, what does this mean by having, do they expect to expand programming on South Coast?
Also,
or-
one of the big things that we look forward to is increased professional development sharing as well, which they offer a lot of, like the SEI courses, et cetera.
Yep.
So that kind of thing. But of course, increased revenue as well, having membership.
Sure.
So it's a win-win for everyone. So,
Okay.
yeah. So the board heard from these two schools and voted approval for them to join. So, yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gifford.
I have nothing else.
Okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We've got 3 more minutes. Okay.
I know.
We don't have enough time for our annual report. Anybody have anything to discuss
I'll do my update.
regarding? Would you like to?
I'll do my
Sure.
update. I have a few things
Gotta make
to
sure it lasts for at least 2
Oh,
minutes.
God.
We don't want to take anything
minutes.
else.
Okay, so we have, our PD strands have been approved, and Curriculum Office obviously is getting ready to send that out for our early release day. We're continuing those strands. Once again, the Dartmouth Curriculum Council came together based on some feedback from previous years, et cetera, and student data and staff feedback and all of that. So those are ready to go out. And once again, we'll have some really tremendous PD offerings. The Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Group had recently met to really start talking about the social studies curriculum standards and the shifts in all expected student outcomes. And we'll be completing our K-12 alignment in history and social studies with some of this work. Planning for summer reading is beginning already, believe it or not. And of course, as we mentioned before, we had started with the iSTEM clubs, and they're up and running at all of our elementary schools. And we're continuing the work with Highlander. We've already talked about that, and I know Michelle and Tracy have been working very hard in the schools with that, with some of the walkthroughs, et cetera. And you might have seen on our Facebook page that kindergarten and preschool registration is starting up. So that information is on the Facebook page and our website for folks. We recently attended the Midwinter Conference last week, and of course, the commissioner was there, which we're going to kind of lead into a little bit of talk on the SOA in a minute. But also, we heard from keynote presenter Jeff Lawrence, who talked about the complex systems that we all are involved in and lead, and the landscape of public education today and how growing unrest and the mental health issues and whatever. And it was a wonderful keynote on the aspect of leadership and also how leadership helps support their staff and faculty and the stress level that everyone is feeling, and how we need to be kind to ourselves. So self-care is a big topic coming forward, and I think that is just stemming from all of the mental health issues that we're seeing, not only in our students, but our staff as well. So that was a very good keynote that we heard from. I guess some juniors are attending Dartmouth Middle School tomorrow. They're going to be speaking to some of our students about the DECA program here, so that's good. We have a partnership with our police officers as usual, and Officer Amanda Tavares, who is looking to be an SRO in future years, along with some of the dispatchers, have developed a training for young children, kindergarten, preschool kids on the 911 system. So they met with some of our principals last week. It's Monday, isn't it? It's still Monday. And we'll be going to each of the elementaries to present to the students. So we were pleased about that. I went to a peace rally last week at Cushman. The kids did some singing and whatnot, of course, in honor of Martin Luther King Day. We have kindness challenges happening. Am I talking slow enough, or what? Still good?
Oh, good.
I got enough time. I have a little more to go. Kindness challenges this week in the elementary schools, and of course I was reading Potter with the Super Bowl challenge and food that will go to the Council on Aging. I'm sure our other elementaries are doing it as well. February 5th, we're looking at Global School Day of Play, and this is a national movement, and it prompted me to look at some TED Talks, and there was one I found by Peter Gray, Dr. Peter Gray, who's done a lot of research on the importance of play for our students, and we all know that. Sometimes it's hard to say we need them to play more and then still say, we have standards and expectations. There's a fine balance, but he and others like him, and I think we see a lot of talk now with the technology issues and the screen, and the kids are addicted, and the mental health and the depression, and they're equating play has something to do with it as well, that the lack of play, the lack of free play, not adult directed, is something we need to really, as parents as well as educators, to continue to advocate for. So anyway, once you get on those TED Talks, there's so many, but I found this one to be very interesting, to really let our kids play, and I know we played all the time, out in the woods for hours. Let's see, what did I write there? Today, Michelle and I attended the 4th annual Social Emotional Conference. It was a half-day conference at Assabet, and heard from a couple of superintendents who have done a lot of work, John Sills in Bedford, and the Wellesley superintendent as well. A lot of work around that, really talking about biases, implicit bias, discrimination, and we've been talking a lot about this in our leadership team as well, and we've already booked our keynote speaker for next year is someone that really, the staff is going to absolutely love him. People that have heard Adolph Brown will know what I'm talking about. He'll be coming here, but really speaks to us and gets to the core of about implicit biases and things like that. So again, another topic that we all really need to pay attention to. And then I think my last piece right now, and we'll lead in, I'm going to let Jim talk a little bit about it. You all know about the Student Opportunity Act, and the work, not only the money that came to some districts, but also one of the things that we all are going to have to do with which again, Jim will explain really isn't any money. We will have to create a plan. Districts that aren't receiving really anything will have like a 2-page plan. This was stemming from the commissioner's talk last week. And but we still have to file it. You will all be asked to approve it in March, and then we file it by April. But some of it can just be we're continuing the work we're doing around the social emotional or whatever it might be. But I asked Jim to kind of talk about that a little bit during this report. So,
thank you, Dr. Gifford. So, all districts did receive something. We received $30 a student, which amounts to $105,000, about a 1% increase in Chapter 70 spending. So we had some discussion a while back on this and what it was going to look like for us, and the reality is that, we are not one of the ones to really benefit from this. We probably would have received the same exact increase if the legislation had not been enacted. So, that's unfortunate. So with the governor's budget, they came out with the cherry sheet, which I shared with you, which shows the receipts and assessments and offsets that come to the town. And the reality is that there's a decrease to the town of about $30,000 right now. The town's looking at that. There may be a reporting issue with a number on the town side that may have a little bit of impact, but not anything significant. So that certainly does not help us overall. The $100,000 is Chapter 70 funds, and as Dr. Gifford said, it comes with all kinds of strings attached. So we went from going to get it anyway to now getting it and having all these strings attached. So we'll take care of that, and we'll do all the reporting that we're required to do. And but again, the overall impact is only going to hurt us from the overall budget perspective. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have on that.
One of the things the commissioner mentioned was 35 school districts received 85% of the money. So,
Yeah.
Which, again, it need-based, but.
Yeah. Some districts received $1,700 a kid.
Right,
We received 30.
right,
So
right. John?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for this, Mr. Kiley. I know, I looked at some of them on the DLS, Local Services Gateway Program in that, and it was interesting to see, and it goes back to what I've said, a little bit earlier, and even at the joint meeting, and I said when I met with Senator Montigny, and he kept saying, what do you need? What can I do for you? I says, we need money. I says, period. That's what we need, and as I've said before, it's not, if you took it's roughly per se $1 million per community, for argumentative sake, a little bit less than that type of deal. But when you look at, what they did with the city of New Bedford, the city of Fall River, the amount of increase they got. I even looked at New Bedford Voc, okay, and theirs went skyrocketing, okay, and, ours is down. It's, come on, people, this has got to be fair and equitable, and this is not fair and equitable. I got it, this is, House 1, this is the governor's, and it'll change, hopefully, to the, a lot better as it goes through with, the House Ways and, the House Ways and Means, the Senate Ways and Means, the Senate, and the joint, and that type of deal by the time we get to June. But at this point in time, this does not, with all due respect, does not help us at all, in my opinion. Not good. Period.
I'm just sighing.
An audible sigh.
I'll just echo Mr. Nunes' frustration that this is just unfortunate for the town of Dartmouth that, like Dr. Gifford said that, or Mr. Kiley said that, we were going to get this anyway, now it just comes with strings attached. So this is not helpful to us, and it seems like every year we're fighting this battle, and it's getting tiring. It's getting extremely tiring.
So, I don't disagree, it would be nice to get more money from the state, but this is a reflection of the fact that our tax rate is one of the lowest in the Commonwealth, right? When Education Reform Act was passed back in the 90s, right, the idea was that communities would pay based on their ability to pay. Our tax rate is set lower than what the state calculates as our ability to pay. Other communities have higher tax rates, are taxing themselves at higher rates than we are. Therefore, the state says, right, when they look at where the money's going to go, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get people to the place where you're at your ability to pay, which just based on income levels and property values and all of that. So I don't disagree that it would be, right, a good thing to get more money from the state, but at the same point in time, I would be a broken record about this. We have to step up to the plate as a community and meet our obligations to the children and our teachers and our town employees in this community.
And I agree, okay, but unfortunately, when 5921C came into effect in 1989, which is Proposition 2.5,
Right.
that the low tax, you can only go up to 2.5 plus new growth, so.
Right, but this community has
It's not-
repeatedly said no to opportunities to increase that revenue.
I totally agree. Been there, done that.
I know you have. I know we're 100% in agreement on this. We're not arguing each other. It's more out that way,
I
right?
got you.
So it was my understanding that I believe that this was going to be on the select board's agenda tonight,
It
the 2.5, talking about the override, and I would hope that they would at least have a good
Discussion.
good conversation around an override and considering, and at least considering to vote and turn it over to the voters in town.
Absolutely.
With that. But that being said, I think it's also interesting to know over the past several years, do we know, I know we spoke earlier, Mr. Kiley, on the economically disadvantaged population, that it continues to increase.
It does. It does. We've seen in the last 5 years. Sorry, I already have that open from our discussion earlier.
I'm sorry for putting you on the spot.
No, it's okay. No, it's, yeah, unfortunately, in the last 5 years, it's increased about 4.5%. And students with disabilities have increased about 2.8% in the district. So, it's more and more need.
Right. Which
Less,
adds to our
less
expenditures.
assistance, to do that with, and a 1% increase from the state is a decrease, right? It's not keeping up with costs and inflation, so we can't hope for that. And we're trying to do more with less, just continuing to try and do that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? No?
I said my piece.
No, thank you. Well, now we're ready, late, no, I have to close out this meeting before, no?
No.
So I'm just
You
gonna,
just open the hearing. Just open the school
Time
choice.
is, yeah,
at
6:57.
6:57, I would like to open our public hearing on school choice. So, step up to the podium, state your name, and try to keep your comments brief. We're not able to answer you, but we're here to listen to you, and later on in the agenda, we will be discussing this topic
And taking a vote.
and taking a vote. So please don't be shy. Good evening again. Renee Vieira, President, Dartmouth Educators Association. Also a teacher at the high school here, where your discussion of school choice is, affected. As a high school teacher, I probably have said this a number of times before, but I would just like to remind you that there are some class sizes at the high school that are quite large. When we look at average class sizes overall, it's not too bad, but we do have some class sizes that are quite large. And the concerning ones are the MCAS courses. These students need to pass freshman biology. They need to pass in their sophomore year ELA or English and math. So it is a concern that some of those classes tend to be a little bit higher. And so we just want to ask you to keep that in mind when you think about enrolling new students into school choice. Those are the two critical years for an outside test in supporting students to be able to graduate.
Also, just another consideration is that the number of students in our co-taught classes has gone up in the last couple of years. And though there are 2 adults, 2 educators in the classroom, those numbers have gone up with changes in schedules and faculty, staff availability. So just ask you to consider both of those when you have your conversation this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any takers? Do you need a motion to close it?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Close it, what, 7:02?
7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at, close
Closed.
enough, that's
Do I have to gavel it?
fine. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Computer's slow. All right. Well, next we have, yes, fun part of the night.
Yes.
We have our presentation for this meeting is a spotlight on kids. We will have Principal Kyle Granfield will come up and do a spotlight on Quinn Elementary School. So cute.
I love Quinn.
So good evening, and thank you for the opportunity tonight to present our Spotlight on Kids here at the Quinn School. So tonight, we're very excited to highlight a few of the enrichment opportunities that happen at Quinn. All of these opportunities are on a voluntary basis, and we're just very proud of the amount of students who consistently want to participate. So tonight, our presentation is geared to highlight these initiatives that are highly engaging to students. Obviously, we are unable to recognize all the students who participate, but we've been able to put together a video that showcases student interviews, capturing students working, and we're fortunate to have a couple students here tonight that will be sharing their experiences with you all. So we'd like to start by recognizing that this year, the Quinn School has won the Scholastic Summer Reading Challenge for the 5th consecutive year in a row. Winning the challenge... Winning the challenge is a combined effort culminating minutes from all 681 Quinn students. Students log their minutes throughout the summer before or after school, and they can log minutes throughout the day as well. Although this is a school-wide initiative, it is also optional, and we're proud of our students for taking on this challenge all throughout the summer on a voluntary basis. The students are motivated to log their minutes and eager to beat the school-wide total each and every year. Secondly, something new this year that was presented to our 4th and 5th grade students was the opportunity to write letters to authors who have inspired them in some way. In order to participate, students knew they would have to give up their recess time in order to participate. You'll see in the video that we're about to show how many students still wanted to be involved in this opportunity. And lastly, we would like to highlight that we have the iSTEM program that's occurring and meets on Wednesday mornings, along with iSTEM centers that are presented to all students monthly. Mr. Costa, Ms. Powers, and Ms. Leary work collaboratively to work on these STEM centers to all the students and in the Library Media Center during library block. Anything STEM related continues to be a huge hit with all of our students in grades K through 5. And many of these opportunities are made possible by utilizing our Library Media Center and the support of Ms. Kate Powers. We would personally like to thank Kate and recognize all of her efforts in regarding to the Summer Scholastic Reading Challenge. Mrs. Powers supports and motivates students to discover their love for reading, and we appreciate all of her time and effort in supporting these students and logging their minutes. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mrs. Powers.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having us here. In October, when we found out that we had won the Scholastic Summer Reading Challenge for the 5th time, Mr. Granfield asked if we would present something in January, sort of showcasing all the awesome things that we do in the library. And I definitely wanted to talk about the Reading Challenge. If you know me, you know I will talk about it and talk about it and talk about it to the point where we should probably talk about something else. So I wanted to definitely bring up Letters About Literature, which is the program where students would write to an author of their choice explaining how something they wrote influenced them in their lives. We sent 29 letters. Winners will be announced in March, so hopefully we have some winners from Quinn. And of course, I wanted to talk about all of our iSTEM initiatives, and I would be remiss if I did not mention Trish Leary, who is sort of my partner in STEM crime. She makes an appearance in the video as well. Before we play the video, I do have to apologize. In translation, we did have some student interviews that might not have sound that you can hear very well, but for most part, you should be able to hear what's going on. So before we talk to our fantastic student representatives, I just put together a brief video of the library initiatives.
apologize that you couldn't hear all the audio. Some computers you could and others you couldn't, so it was kind of 50-50 if it was going to work tonight. So, Addie, you want to go first? All right, so we're going to have 3 of our students. All 3 of these students actually are involved in more than one of the activities, and we're willing to come tonight and courageous to stand in front of you. So,
Hi, my name is Addison Thomas. I am in 3rd grade. I participated in STEM and I was one of the top readers. My favorite thing in STEM is what I like in STEM is iSTEM. What I like in iSTEM is the VR goggles. I also like the iPads. I like the VR goggles because it gives me a nice view when I'm on a roller coaster. What I like about iPads is doing Toca Boca.
Hi, my name is Quinn Rice. I am in 1st grade. I love summer reading and iSTEM because they're so fun. What I love doing is all the fun stuff. I love building robots in iSTEM.
Hi, my name is Reagan Reset and I am in 4th grade. I do all the things Mr. Granfield just said, but my favorite one out of all 3 is STEM because you get to work together, celebrate failure, do fun activities, and keep persevering until you get it right.
Nice job.
I just want to jump in and thank these 3 awesome kids for being here. This is Addison Thomas, Reagan Raysette, and Quinn Raysette. So I just wanted to thank them so much for coming out. 3 of the best kids I could ask for.
no, we thank you and be happy to take any questions if you have any questions for any of the students.
Sure. Does anyone who wants to start? Oh, don't John. Go ahead.
Did they write to any of the authors? And have Yeah. Now, have they heard back from them, or is that something that's going to be in March when they hear back? You'll hear in general.
We find out if any of the letters made it past the first round in March. So we sent 29, so hopefully.
That's good.
Nice.
Well, first of all, congratulations on a job well done. And you've been doing it for several years now over at Quinn. Just something I read the other day online, and I'm hoping it wasn't fake news, is that more people are visiting libraries than attend the theater. And it's probably because of the high cost of attending the theater, but it just shows that even with all the electronics and the technology out there, people are still going to their local libraries, and it's wonderful. And the other thing I just wanted to mention was how great to see all the different activities that are taking place in the library. And it's not just a quiet zone. No. It's a very busy zone. So congratulations.
Walk by it during the day and you'll
That's wonderful. Great job. Thank you. Thank you to the young ladies here, too.
Part of the problem with not going first is people steal your comments. I was going to say just about the same thing as Dr. Karafotis. I think you see a lot online. People say, oh, why do we need libraries? But libraries are just as vital as ever before in schools and in our communities. And it's great to see the kids, getting into going to libraries. Hopefully they continue that to be lifelong learners and readers. So it's great to see that starting now.
So by far the best part of the meeting, as usual. So thank you. All 3 of you did a wonderful job.
Nice work.
Very nice. Congratulations on the 5 years in a row now. That's amazing. And just seeing how libraries, media centers have evolved over the years into a real active learning space. So it's just amazing. And thank you. Great job presenting to both of you.
Yeah, no, I really, there's not much more to say, just to really reiterate what my colleagues have said. And the 3 of you were so eloquent, and you read so well, very impressed. But, yeah, it's really nice to just see what's happening in the schools. I love Quinn. I love all of our schools, but it's just great to see all that you're doing. And thank you for coming here to highlight it tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Let's do another one of those. Anyone in the audience want to? highlight something fun. Okay, so under new business, should we just go right to our school choice vote?
Discussion
Will,
around it?
yeah, any of my colleagues have anything that they want to, we certainly want to discuss this quite a bit.
I certainly have supported school choice, even more so now when we look at how our budget is and the list of the many activities we've been able to fund through this special funding. However, I really would like us to be very cognizant when we're doing, and I know you are, class size. It's really important. We don't want that to go up any more than it has, and if we can bring it down. I'm not sure how the scheduling is done, but I know people at the last minute come in. You could just have 2 or 3 people added to that class, and it's more than you had expected. So that's all I really need to say. Thank you.
Chris?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, first of all, I'd like to hear from Dr. Gifford or Mr. Kiley regarding any, what your thoughts are on school choice, and then I have a couple of points I'd just like to bring up.
Sure. I'll just, as you know, each year we've been looking to accept approximately 30 students. While we sometimes get the 30 students over the course of the year, oftentimes students will withdraw, whether it was not the right place for them or, they're nervous, whatever it might be. So currently we have 103 students enrolled throughout the district. We have 28 in grade 9, 23 in grade 10, 24 in grade 11, and 28 in grade 12. So it's spread out pretty evenly. With that, we also, we've been talking a lot about this. We're seeing a slight decline in enrollment. With the 28 students right now, we only have 233 students in grade 9, which is a pretty good, that's with 28 school choice students. So, but to Ms. Vieira's point, one thing we do look at is how are our class sizes going. The high school has the students choose their classes, but then there's a lot of hands-on, there's a lot of human contact as well as they're monitoring needs, et cetera, or making those choices of does a student have a lot of conflicts where they can't take another class. So sometimes some of those classes do get up there, but as you see by the data we've given you, it's pretty good numbers across the entire school. So with that, we do continue to keep a look at that. I know the department, the guidance department, as well as the administration at the high school, along with the lead teachers, make a lot of decisions, human decisions, if you will. It's not just the program that schedules kids. You also received your the money that we've taken in, an account of that, as well as what we've expended upon, and also what we've reserved for future issues, such as, you just saw the iSTEM. We've been able to fund all of those stipends for teachers to hold those after-school programs, and as of this date, almost $27,000. So, let's see, Potter preschool setup, those kinds of things. We've been able to fund some music stipends, some music supplies. It's all there. Of course, many of the items that you see in the Innovation Lab, aside from the money that we had received from the grant. Obviously, one of our big ones was the one-to-one computing. And we are going to work with Mr. Galashaw to analyze that from year to year and see what are we using for school choice, what are we leasing, et cetera. So we'll continue to do that. We've also we've reserved at this point, you just saw Ms. Powers talking about our library, some money because we are going to be working with our various libraries to provide some flexible furniture, things like that, to really keep up with the times, if you will. So with that, other than if you have any questions, I would recommend working with the high school admin again, between 30 and 40 students this year. Again, we monitor that closely. If we were to see, let's say, 40 students from grade 9 were coming in, all those applications, we had nothing else, we would monitor that back down. So I know you never vote on the number, but we have kept to about 30. And as I said, right now we have 103, which if we had all 30, would be 120. So,
Sure. Question, from grade 8 to grade 9, you said that there's how many students enrolled in grade 9 right now?
in grade 9,
200?
it was 233. Yeah, where'd I have it? 236.
236 versus how many students, I'm just curious, enrolled
Yep.
in grade 8?
Yep, we have that here. I have that here. 317. Oh, sorry, I'm pulling my other, Miss Roy gives me this very,
Over-
yeah,
over
where they
three-
couldn't
over
translate, so I have all of the data here.
Over 300?
But, yeah, so, 317.
Okay.
So we know that
Based
they
on.
make their choices.
Sure, so.
I want to just reiterate, follow up on something. You said if we added 30, we'd go up to 120, but we have 28 students in grade 12, right? Who presumably will be graduating.
That's right.
So we would only be adding essentially 10 onto our current total,
Onto the
essentially.
current load,
Yeah, so we
exactly.
would be going from 103 to about 113.
Yeah, yeah. Which like I said, if we had 30 every year, it would
Right.
have been the one.
I just want to make
Yep,
that clear. We're not
exactly.
making a
Right.
huge jump
Exactly.
because we will be
We're
losing
losing
some of
some.
those. Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah, no problem. I think it's really important to know a couple of things. That since school choice was voted in the district, we brought in, school choice has, the reimbursement program has brought in almost $1.5 million to the Dartmouth Public Schools. And like Dr. Gifford said, we've been able to fund a variety of programs, a variety of materials, and, things that otherwise we wouldn't be able to do. The money just wouldn't be there. Especially the one-to-one program, in addition to, looking to put money towards the stadium, towards projects that really benefit the whole district, or the district as a whole. I think it's also important to note that when you look at, when I was reviewing the cherry sheet, that the Dartmouth Public Schools is actually, we're losing about $200,000 in school choice to other districts. So, I think that's important to note, that's $200,000 that other districts are receiving. So I am once again in favor of this. I appreciate the data that you provided with us, Dr. Gifford. I do agree with my colleague, Dr. Karafotis, that, just continue to monitor it. It seemed like there was some classes, the largest being, I think, right around 30,
Yep.
several. And there were some classes that also had 6 or 7 students in them as well. So that being said, I'm in favor of it, and I think we're able to do a lot of great things that we otherwise wouldn't be able to do. So thank you.
Shannon?
Yeah, so I would echo what Mr. Oliver said, I'll highlight one that he didn't highlight, but this was the strength and conditioning coach down in the new room downstairs.
Right.
My kids come home and say, we need a bigger one. It's just so
good.
popular, right?
It
There's
is.
so many kids there who want to take part in that, and to have those weight room classes, I think, are really popular as well. I also, share concerns about class size, and I do appreciate Ms. Vieira's comments about that. But I do think a lot of this is the function of trying to get kids the classes they want to have. So, like, if you look at the biology honors, we have a biology honors class of 29. We also have 2 of 19, right? And a lot of this, talking back and forth with guidance with my kids, right? When your kids have particular classes they want to take, particularly around AP courses or things like that, where we may only be offering one section of those because that's what enrollment demands, we end up having to have a few classes that are larger because we don't want to say to someone, no, you can't take an AP, statistics class or an AP English class. So I do recognize that, but I think part of this is really driven by trying to give our kids the classes they want and that meet our interests. Again, I'm appreciative that we're aware of this, but I do want to make it clear that a lot of this is driven just by trying to give students what they want.
Anyone else?
Sure. No, I'm not going to change. No, seriously. I appreciate the information that we received in our packet for, the revenue and the expenses and what it's covered. And it's fantastic what it does, but and it's great that we're going to have another 30 students, and we'll net out 10 more next year, and that's fantastic. type of deal, but for me, it's just a fundamental and philosophical choice type of deal. I mean, to sit here and see, Dr. Jenkins talked about the strength coach, or we look at stadium renovations or instructional technology, the one-on-one, the whole list of things is, we couldn't do it if we didn't have those funds, and I totally understand that type of deal. But again, with me, it's just, a philosophy and philosophical and just what I believe, so.
I think we all respect that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Probably a silly question, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask anyway. So the numbers on the side of the
These
parentheses.
are the number of choice kids in that
Okay.
class.
Okay. And so it still fluctuates, and looking at this, Shannon and Dr. Jenkins, mentioned there's some classes with some very, very low numbers. And, I was going through and just highlighting, there are quite a few with some high numbers. But I'm just thinking in my own experience, and Dr. Jenkins also, going last again, everyone kind of takes your comments. But just thinking about my own daughter and my own experience in, we get a new schedule and fitting kids in where they want to be, and I know the work that they put in just with my one child times how many students in the school. So there's a lot to be said for working to get kids in the classes that they need to be. So I think that's all I really wanted to say. I wrote notes, but they didn't seem to save on here. Oh, well. Anyway, we're losing those seniors, so we're losing those 28 kids, moving on to bigger and better things, hopefully. And there's really in my mind, it's really hard to just not take into account all of the projects. It's really hard to look at this list of where the money is spent on the stipends, on the iSTEM, professional development, the Innovation Lab, the one-to-one initiative with the Chromebooks and the strength and conditioning coach, the renovations, some money, lots of money, that's just some money, pocket change, and just the high school and the middle school library renovation. It's really hard to not look at this list and say, how could I not agree? I am concerned about the numbers. I don't have the answer for that, and I guess my feeling is, just being cautious of those numbers and continuing to kind of monitor. I would hate for a child not to be able to be placed in a class that they either need for credit purposes or aspire to be, as far as the AP classes. And so, I think I know my feeling is just being very cognizant around those numbers. I would be supportive of the additional. Yeah. It has brought in so many good projects. So.
We always say it's just nice to be able to say yes.
Yeah, I know, and it's right in
Outside
front of
the
you like
budget,
this. It's yes.
I'd just like to add, I think it'd be one thing, maybe I'd have if we had the revenue and we had the money and our numbers, we had more eighth graders, moving up into Dartmouth
Right.
High School. Maybe, obviously with those numbers, I'd have some different considerations. However, until, we get the enrollment back to where I think it should be at Dartmouth High School, and I know we can, if we continue to grow the programs that we have there and continue doing the great job that we're doing in this district, that, who knows what the future will bring. But until then, until we find one or another revenue source or another funding source, and two, we're able to keep more students in this district, I see, I think it's important that we do our best to find that balance between class size and then being able to, receive this money through the reimbursement program.
Each year, since each year we either approve or not school choice, has there been any consistency around who you get applications from? I mean, are they mostly 9th grade, 8th graders going into 9th? Are there?
9 and 10. I
Yeah.
would say the majority 9, but
Yeah.
then 10, and then it decreases
Kind of
obviously
decreases,
because
right.
students
Nobody
are
really wants to
already- Yeah,
change.
they're happy
Yeah.
where they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually the 9 and 10 are the two biggest
Okay.
grade levels.
Okay. Yeah, good point, Chris.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I also want to add just one thing. If you notice that as we've given you the list of classes, we've been very fortunate at the high school to offer a huge
Right.
variety of classes. Again, speaking to what students need or want, that's incredible. And as we said before, the kids are given the classes, you've all said it already, but the scheduling is done to meet their needs and to the best of our ability. And we don't want to turn a student away because we can't fit them in. So a lot of times those decisions to put that extra student in another class is because of that. So
Yeah, there's a great variety of classes like film critique, and those numbers are higher, but that's great. There's some
Right.
students passionate about that
Right.
particular topic and wanting to go through that pathway. So yeah, anything else?
I'd like to make a motion that the Dartmouth Public Schools participate in school choice for the 2020-2021 school year.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor? Any?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Me?
Mr. Nunes? Okay.
Thank you.
So it passes. Thank you.
You're
Good luck.
welcome.
Thank you,
Good luck
everyone.
with that.
Thank you for all the information,
Yeah.
seriously.
All right.
Good stuff.
Next, we have the annual report that's in our packet.
It's great reading.
Yes.
It's a nice synopsis of everything that's been going on. We just need a vote of
We just need a
approval.
vote of approval.
Madam Chair, make a motion, we approve the 87-page annual report. I printed it. 87, the annual report for the Dartmouth Public Schools.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I would just like to thank everyone that was involved in putting this 87-page report together. I'm sure it wasn't just Dr. Gifford
Oh,
or
no.
Mrs.
Oh, no.
Roy
I know
or
how to
Mr.
delegate.
Kiley. I was just going to say, I'm sure it's the administrators, the department heads. A lot went into
Yeah.
There is,
into
yeah.
this.
And Kate is very good at getting it out early and warning them. Although I think some of them don't read their emails, so at the last minute, they're like, I didn't get that email.
What annual
Yeah,
report?
right.
Right, because I don't have the read receipt yet. Seriously.
Exactly. So just thank you. Thank you to everyone
Yeah.
that was involved.
Very comprehensive. Yes.
Yeah, my thanks to everyone on this, and seriously, reading this and going through it, you see all the little things that are going on in the school, and what's happening at all the elementary schools, the different projects that are ongoing, and
true.
Here at the high school and the middle school in Cushman and that, and it is just really the different clubs to see what's going on and the
Yeah.
people that are involved, and the thought that goes into it. You get into the weeds, but it's really, it's the good stuff.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Honoring our retirees and singing he's a jolly good fellow, and month to month on all of the schools. Yeah, it's really, really neat to see hard work put in. So with that, all in favor?
I,
Do we have a?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did.
Oh, we did have a motion? Okay. I missed
Yeah.
that.
what do you do?
All right.
All in favor?
Yeah, I said that.
Aye.
Don't
Nobody's
do that.
opposed. Thank you. Passes. All right, what do we have next?
People watching.
I think just you.
Yeah, no, you really covered it all.
Yeah,
I
we
was going to
did.
mention
Reporter
the
chair.
kindergarten information, preschool information on the website.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything else that they would like to add? Yes, Mr. Nunes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick note, and seriously, a thanks to the Standard Times over the past few weeks. They've been talking about the local athletes and the different sports for the past decade, and there've been a number of Dartmouth High School athletes that have been mentioned. So it's really good. It brings back some memories. Seeing us, oh my God, or it's been that long since that person was here.
Yeah.
So and you can remember some of the things that they did. So congratulations to them. And I guess there's a couple of our athletic teams that have already qualified for the tournament. So that's good luck to them as they go forward.
Exciting. Great. Chris?
I would just like to take a moment to recognize Mr. Parati, who's in the control room there. There was a nice article in the Dartmouth Weekly, I believe, this past week
Yes.
about the television production program at Dartmouth, the media program growing, and it's through Mr. Parati that we're able to live stream school committee meetings now. And I know it takes a lot of time and effort, not only to do what you do, Mr. Parati, but also just set this up. And it seems like every time we come into here, there's a new piece of technology, boom cameras, I guess they called. This is getting to be a pretty serious production, and I'm sure the students appreciate it, and they're getting a lot of great experience. And I'm sure that there's some of them, I know there's some of them that are going on to the communication field and to the video production field. So I'd just like to take the moment to recognize you and the great work that your students are doing.
Thank you.
Good job.
Anyone else?
Well, I noticed that Ms. Roy has a policy update.
Oh, I apologize. So the
When I miss a policy
we're
update.
going to,
That's what I live for.
yeah.
We tabled that.
We're going to table
because,
that till next meeting.
We need
There was-
clarification.
We need clarification on some of the language. I'm sorry, being live streaming is getting to my head today, I have to
We were
admit.
hopeful we would get that prior to the meeting, but
Thank
it
you.
came at the last hour, so.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol, for keeping me.
Don't mention
So our next meeting, our next regularly scheduled meeting will be scheduled for Monday, February 10th, 6:30, same place here at Dartmouth High School in the Media Center. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session to provide an update with respect to collective bargaining with union personnel, not to return into open session.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Kathleen Amaral,
Yes.
Chris Oliver,
Yes.
Shannon Jenkins.
Yes.
Carol Karafotis.
Yes.
John Nunes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Kathleen, very good.
Oh, that was
Remembered the roll call.
I did. Being live really got to me, I have to say.